Hi, this is Siddharth Mehta. So today we are going to discuss the Daily Nuggets passage number 3, and this passage is in science and nature topic. So let us first and foremost see the type of questions. The first question is on the primary purpose, that means the main idea. The second is what role does the sentence play in the context of overall passage, of course. Then what can be the source of the above passage? Many students find it difficult. Which of the following is not a definite conclusion of the study mentioned in the passage? And the last is association between each of the following has been discussed in the passage except. Okay, so important thing is except. So let us see. This is the passage, and you can see that this passage is on science, and you can stop the video and read it once more. I'm sure you have already taken the test. And then let us move to see the basic organization and the idea of the passage. So once again, I will tell you how I read the passage. I read the passage for two things. First is trying to understand the organization of the passage and to understand what is the main idea of the passage. Now, when I am reading, I of course begin slow, but my main objective is to locate the lines which have author's opinion on the topic, because author's opinion tell me the subject and the author's judgment on that subject. So let us read the sentences. The role of the wildlife trade as a source of zoonotic disease in human has long been debated. So author is setting up the context here, saying that the role of wildlife trade as a source of zoonotic disease has long been debated. Is it an opinion? It is not an opinion. It is a sort of factual statement which can be verified. So it is not an opinion. And when such kind of statements are given in the beginning, you can anticipate, because author is saying that it has long been debated, or you can anticipate that author will give his view on what is the role of wildlife trade as a source of zoonotic disease. So that's why he has written that sentence, that it has long been debated, but let me tell you what I think, kind of thing. And all these things are context. Most new infectious disease emerge from pathogens, disease causing microorganism transformed from animals to human. The suspected origin of COVID-19 in a wildlife wet market has resurfaced debate on the role of wildlife trade as a potential source of emerging zoonotic disease. Yet there are no studies. He said, yet, despite all these things, there are no studies. And then author gives the opinion that this was the case till now. In a new study, I and a number of fellow scientists provide some of the first empirical evidence that wildlife trade and zoonotic disease risk are strongly associated. So this is his, I should not say opinion alone, but this opinion is more than, he has given it through some evidence. But yeah, for the sake of simplicity, this is the author's judgment on the entire thing, that there is a strong association between wildlife trade and zoonotic disease. And then how has author built his argument, or the main point, which is of course this particular line. He has used the findings of his research. So if you look, all the things in gray, they are the findings of the research, right? So this is first finding, that traded mammals also harbor a distinct composition of zoonotic viruses and different host reservoirs. So these are all factual, these things, if you read, right, they have a lot of what should I say, jargons in them. Zoonotic viruses, reservoirs, host reservoirs. I mean, we get confused. So rather than worrying about all these words, your focus should be that this is one of the findings. Then this is another finding. Furthermore, in the study, we highlight that primates, carnivores, and bats represent significant zoonotic disease risk. Again, these things very technical in nature, difficult to understand, jargons. But what I need to understand is that this is finding of a study. If a question comes, and there was a question, I can come and check what it is talking about. And then this is overall finding. Overall, our finding is strengthen the evidence that there is association between these two things, something he has already stated. And these things are opinion that what should be done after the findings. All right. So the organization's author has said the context, given the opinion, cited his findings to support the opinion or his final judgment. And what is the main idea? The content is whether there is association between wildlife trade and zoonotic disease. Author is saying that definitely there is a strong association and mitigation measures should be prioritized. These are the main opinion of the author on the topic. Let us look at the question. What is the primary purpose of the author in the passage? To suggest that there is a strong association between wildlife trade and zoonotic disease. Yeah, it looks a very good option because that is the ultimate finding, that there is a strong association between wildlife trade and zoonotic disease. Looks a very good option to mark because this is what author is saying as his final argument. B, to suggest solution to mitigate the zoonotic disease outbreaks. Very tangential, not the core, because if you look at the core is the research and whether there is an association. Author towards the end has said that we need to do something about it. He may have also suggested one or two things, but this is not the primary purpose of writing the passage. This is just one of the things that author has talked about. The primary purpose is not giving the solution to mitigate the zoonotic disease outbreak. The primary reason is whether there is an association or not. See, to summarize findings of his study on association between wildlife trade and zoonotic disease risk. This is a very, very good option. And in fact, this is a better option than A. Why? Because A just gives me the finding of the research. C tells me that his main purpose is to summarize his findings and the summarizing his findings on association between these two things. A only tells me that there is a strong association. C gives me the complete picture. So A is also right, but C is a better, more complete option as far as the primary purpose is concerned, and that is why C is the answer. Let us look at D. To show that he and his fellow scientists have done something path-breaking. Again, something true as per the passage, because he has said that we have it wasn't done till now, but we have done it. But that's not the primary purpose of writing the passage. This is true but irrelevant trap. This is true as per the passage, but that is not what question is asking me. Question is asking me the primary purpose. The primary purpose means what is the main content and what is the judgment. So if you see, this doesn't have main content in the main content and the judgment that we have written. This is not something that we have identified. So answer is option number C. A comes close to it, although. Question number 2. What role does the sentence, the role of wildlife trade as a source of zoonotic disease in humans has long been debated? What role this plays? This was the question. So the first sentence, it is a conclusion that author wants to establish. Obviously not, because we have already seen what conclusion author is trying to establish is there is no debate, and in fact there is a strong association. So A cannot be the answer. It says the context for the main argument of the passage. Yes, this is what it is doing. It is setting up the context on which the entire argument is based. It is saying that so far nothing has been done, but we have done it and what we have found. So answer is option number B. C. It acts as an evidence to the argument of passage. No, of course this is not an evidence, because evidence should be in line with author's findings. So this is not in line. So sorry, this is not the answer. B is the answer. So this cannot be the answer. D, it is an assumption on which the author has built his argument. Obviously, this is not the answer, because assumption is never directly given. Answer is option number B. What can be the source of the above passage? If I look at the passage, this passage is about is on science, right? And if I look at closely, there are several places where I find it difficult to understand because of the use of jargons or the technical words. So a newspaper editorial will never have such thing. Newspaper editorial is meant for common people, and will have something which appeals to the masses more, concerned about the masses more, and not a particular research that you will find in the editorial of the newspaper. I mean, they may mention, but this particular passage is entirely based on the findings. So this is definitely not newspaper editorial. A journal on nature. Well, such kind of questions are always difficult to mark. We have to eliminate and think. I don't have any reason to mark it. I don't have any reason to eliminate it right now. An article on lifestyle. Obviously, this is not about lifestyle of people. So this cannot be the answer. A book on wildlife looks another tempting option. So I am now left with B and D. So always in such kind of question, guys, eliminate what cannot be the answer and then start thinking what are we left with. So whether it is a journal on nature or a book on wildlife, what do you expect? a book on wildlife will be having more about the wildlife and the way they live, such kind of things. And this particular passage is trying to establish a relationship between zoonotic disease and wildlife trade. So of course term wildlife is there, and if you see the passage has mentioned, the author has mentioned some research, some findings on the particular topic in hand. So this is a journal on nature. That there is the passage talks about the relationship between wildlife, which is a part of nature, and the zoonotic disease that they can carry, the risk associated with it. So the answer is option number B. A book on wildlife will not be talking about such kind of association, and more so this a book will not talk about one particular research. I mean, if you see these things, what he has mentioned is in our new study, and he has also mentioned the findings of the study in 3 paragraphs. So will the book be so narrow? No. Again, so this can't be book. It looks like an article in a journal. Okay. Next. Which of the following is not a definite conclusion of the study mentioned in the passage? So we identified what are the findings of the study. So